All right. Good evening and welcome to the September Planning Commission for the Village of Vicksburg. It is 7:02 and I'd like to call this meeting to order. Secretary DeBalt, could you please take attendance, please?
Schenkel,
Present.
Mucha,
Present.
Manchester, no. Cox,
Present.
Newman,
Present.
Wortella,
Present.
Holmes,
Here.
DeBalt, here.
Great, thank you. Agenda item number 3 is approval of the agenda. I trust everyone's had time to review that. If there's a motion for approval, we'll accept that now.
Mr. Chair, I did read it. There's a spelling error in section 8. I believe that the word should be willingness, not wiliness. I recommend that would be corrected, and once that is done, I would make a motion to approve the amended minutes.
All right, well, we're going to get to that next. We got approval agenda first, so we'll get that. Yep, so approval of agenda. Do we have a motion for the approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting?
I would move that we approve tonight's agenda as submitted.
Motion by Wortella, support.
Support by Cox.
Support by Cox. And boy, I'm used to doing roll call. We don't need to do roll call for this, do we? No. All right. So we'll do a support by yay or nay. All in favor, say yay.
Yay?
Yay.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, agenda item number 4, approval of the minutes from August 9th. And we'll hear from Mr. Newman.
Yes, this will put my statement from prior in section 8. It says Schenkel asked other members about the wiliness. I believe that is supposed to be willingness. We could make that correction. I will make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
We have a motion to support August 9th meeting minutes with the amendment. Do we have support?
Holmes, support.
Support from Holmes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approved minutes from August 9th. All right. Agenda item number 5 is public comment. If there are public present, we will ask you to state your name, your address, and you have 4 minutes for public comment. I will open it up now. Seeing no one come forward, we will move forward on to our next agenda item. Agenda item number 6, the IMO site plan review. And we have a staff presentation. Is that you, Bobby, or is that Jim?
No, I'll defer to Director of Planning, Durkee, to do it this time.
I gotta hit a switch here. Is this good? All right. So I'll just give a brief presentation. I know that the plan was distributed. Through my review is my attempt to kind of go through the checklist on any development and also the criteria for approval in the village zoning code. So the original EMO site plan was developed in 2015 and developed soon afterwards. And in just last month, through the submission of the site plan application, staff identified that the building was larger than the zoning ordinance permits, and EMO applied for the variance, and that variance was approved by the zoning board since the last meeting, where this board offered a positive recommendation for approval. And after a review of the plan, some items I've identified through it, and I can answer any questions afterwards looking at the parking, the setbacks, screening, and those items. So the parking shows 125 parking spaces. The applicant did provide an overview of a lot of these items on the side of the civil page. The 125 parking spaces is over the minimum that they need. That accounts for the number of employees and the office space. There is a typo in my staff report. They have more than 15 employees. I believe that number on highest shift was 35, but it's on the plan as well. There is some new lighting proposed. There are wall packs and additional pole lighting for the parking lot to cover the additional parking lot area. And the parking lot addition includes another loading bay. The loading bay is further north on the site, and the loading bay is directed away from traffic, away from road, and gives plenty of maneuvering area. And that covers the ordinance standards for a loading bay. There is no additional screening proposed because there's no residential or low-impact uses around it. All of the landscaping in the front of the building along Prairie remains, but there is a small traffic island removed and a net loss of 2 trees. The building height is 30 feet, which is going to match the existing building and is within the height limit of the I-2 zone. For the stormwater, the calculations are provided on the plan, and it demonstrates capacity for the additional impervious coverage. There is already an existing dumpster and the screening is covered. And then in addition to that, the ordinance requires an environmental questionnaire checklist, SDS sheets, which are the technical sheets for the chemicals on site, a list of chemicals, and the application questionnaire for the environmentals was provided. There are some lacquers and oils, but I don't think there's anything over 30 or 55 gallons, and they show how they'll keep it in drums and other containers. So that was my kind of analysis of the plan, and if there's any questions from anyone's review, I can answer them. And staff recommendation is to approve the site plan.
This is Wertella. We're approving this or approving it to go to the zoning board?
I'm sorry?
We are approving this or approving it to go to the zoning board?
Nope, this is an approval. The site plan review, the planning commission, just as a little bit of background, is the body that approves or denies the site plan. And the zoning board looked at the coverage of the building because it was bigger than the ordinance allowed, where this is the construction zoning analysis. Does this structure meet all of the intents and regulations of our code? So after the decision by this body, if approved, construction would start at the applicant's convenience.
Mr. Durkee, you mentioned that there's going to be a loss of 2 trees. What is ordinance? Are they still above ordinance requirements?
There is no tree and shrub count
Thank you.
in the ordinance. And I do believe it states it's at the planning commission approves a landscaping plan. It's pretty vague.
I just, you said that there was lighting going to be wall packs and a couple new poles in the parking lot. I didn't see any kind of lighting plan, or if it was in the site plan, I didn't notice it. Was that actually present?
There was no light plan.
Okay,
So they showed the wall packs is a diagram on the plan.
Okay, thank you.
Bobby, were there any comments from citizens or surrounding businesses regarding this that have been submitted to the village? I know during the zoning committee meeting that it was pretty straightforward, but I was just curious since then if we've received any commentary from...
We received reference the Zoning Board of Appeals, one contact, and it was positive in favor of the business, the development, and the plans in front for the variance request. If I can, Chair Schenkel, just to clarify that, the only comment we received was positive. We did not receive anything contrary to that.
Any further questions for staff?
Bobby, when you review this, what was the one thing that you that you looked at that you really wanted to dig into, that you thought there may be an issue that you were able to resolve, or were there none? I'm just trying to understand from your professional opinion, when you first looked at the plan, was there anything that you said, okay, there's a couple of boxes or a box I need to check here?
On this one, no. I think the only thing that perhaps jumped out to me was, the loss of the trees and any landscaping along Legia Drive. But looking at North Legia and South Legia, I don't see as much landscaping along that drive. And then I saw the effort put towards in the Prairie Street, and I thought that met it. But at the end of the day, with the ordinance language being what it is and the decision being the Planning Commission, that was about it. So otherwise, no, I thought overall it was a really good plan. And, from reviewing a lot of plans, I really appreciated on the next sheet, it has all of the zoning criteria, and I thought they did a good job and made it really easy to find.
Thank you.
I would just like to echo what Mr. Durkee said. In reviewing that, it was very nice to see fairly complete information provided. It really makes our task easier. So thank you very much.
I'll welcome a motion for this agenda item.
I'll make a motion to approve the site plan as presented.
Motion by Newman. Do we have support?
Holmes, I'll support.
Support by Holmes. And we will do a roll call on this one, Secretary DeBault. So when you're ready.
Schenkel,
Yes.
Mucha,
Yes.
Cox,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Wortella,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes.
DeBault, yes.
Motion granted.
If
Agenda
I can,
item-
Chair Schenkel, I would like to thank both Emo, Gary Hallam, and Greg Deeds. It's been fantastic to work with you the last couple months in setting this up, so truly appreciate you being here tonight and answering all the questions and clarifications of staff behind the scenes, so truly appreciate it. Well, we're talking about a site plan review, not a variance request. The variance request, which was public noticed for a public hearing, occurred on August 30th, I believe was the date. The meeting opening up. Okay, that's a good. Do you want to open it for the public comments then, Chris? What would your recommendation be?
Yeah, she is correct. We would open a hearing for public comment on the site plan review, if there is any.
Do you feel comfortable with that? That was an excellent public comment that you made, though, before the public comment, so we appreciate it.
All right, so with no public comment, we will close this public comment section. Thank you. All right, agenda item number 7, Downtown Development Authority, staff Mallory and Lee.
Yes. Yeah, I'll be handling the staff comments on these items tonight. First action is on the budget reference Oswald Park. Some of the newer members of the board, we spent the spring, February through June season prepping the current fiscal year that we are in, the 21-22 fiscal year. Part of that process was going in front of the board and putting the Oswald Park dollars out of the DDA, be it in the Downtown Development Authority, and that would be a total of $17,500. And that was approved by the DDA board in June. It was further approved by the village council in adopting the 21-22 fiscal year. Most of the time, we will see the purchasing of products and that through the village's purchasing policy. What we are asking for tonight is a motion and support to formally move that $17,500 that was approved in June into the Oswald Park project. It's our anticipation that we will go out to public bid on that project October 1st, which is 15 days prior to the close of the fundraising, and to get those bids back in a timely manner. But I'll be happy to answer any questions. Again, staff's recommendation, as it was in June, to approve this allocation formally now that we have moved forward with that project. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Jim, is this moving budget lines?
No, this was, but again, this is unique in that it's a project. I think similar what we did is we moved identified Downtown Development Authority dollars to utilize in a couple parking lot projects the last few years. And then when we actually went out to bid to expend that money, we secured approval for that. And it will, our timeline is from here, we will move to next Monday with the same approval in front of the council. So what I'm glad did not happen, but I guess a hypothetical that could have, was we approved to move forward with the project in June, but for whatever circumstances we did not. Those dollars would have stayed there. We're basically now saying, no, we are in a position to move forward on this project. Our fundraising is going very, very well. We have $39,700 collected so far out of the 50. We did get authorized. We submitted a grant to the Vicksburg Foundation, which was awarded in the amount of $50,000, and I'm very confident we'll raise the additional money needed for the $50,000 of MEDC patronicity match.
I just wanted to make sure I heard you correctly, Mr. Mallory. Did you say the foundation's going to match
Correct.
the 50? Okay.
Correct. That was approved last Thursday.
Thank you.
Any further questions for staff on this? Otherwise, we'll call for motion.
Mrs. DeBalt, I'd like to make a motion to allocate the $17,500 for Oswald Park. This motion would approve the village manager to utilize these funds within the estimated cost of the makeover of Oswald Park.
Motion by DeBalt, and do we have support?
I support.
Support by Cox. And roll call, please. Secretary DeBalt.
Schenkel,
Yes.
Mucha,
Yes.
Cox,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Wortella,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes.
DeBalt, yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. We have agenda item 7B, update on the infrastructure project.
Yes, if anyone was downtown today, we did last Thursday start the curb line on Prairie Street coming in from the park, Clark Park. And today, they worked half a day Saturday. We'll be working the next couple Saturdays, but a large portion of the sidewalk cement work that's not colored all the way through has started to be put in place today, so people will start to see the curb lines and the sidewalks come back. By the end of the week, it has a very detailed color diagram on Prairie and Main Street that test pours will hopefully occur by the end of the week, and that's outside of the workspace, but then we'll have our engineers come in and make sure, because it's colored, it's not stampcrete, it's colored all the way through with multi-colors, that meets the standards we expect, and we'll move forward there. You will, hopefully, Main Street is going well. The last little bit of storm will be put in here over the next 2 days. And then we'll move to some water main work on Main Street that we don't anticipate to take 3 or 4 days, and you'll start to see that street be rebuilt. But as of right now, it's 7 days ahead of schedule, barring any unexpected surprises. I'm very, very confident the downtown will be put back together prior to winter, and in fact, prior to Christmas in the village and other events that can happen. But I'll be happy to answer anyone's questions on that project.
Mr. Malley, this is Member DeBalt. When they remove the existing parts of the sidewalks that are still left for the businesses to operate, is there going to be a temporary sidewalk put in for people to still use those fronts until they get the new sidewalk put up building to building?
Yes, but it might not be what would be in a person's mind as a temporary sidewalk, because right now they're tearing out usually the day before and prepping for the pour, so then they bring in the machines to flatten out the ground, and if additional fills needed. What we've done is, like today is an example, Vickers is closed on Mondays. So we tried to get as much work. There's a fire hydrant that needed to be changed over, and that water shut off. That was done, scheduled on when that business was closed. So I see as much as that being done as possible. And as it moves to Main Street, the final product will communicate with the businesses when we know more details of that. But within the contract, to specifically answer your question, the businesses have to have accessibility.
I'd ask Village Manager, Jim, I've become aware recently of access needs for people with a little bit of disabilities. Is there going to be a time period between the temporary sidewalks and the permanent sidewalks for folks to get in that may have some difficulties in walking?
Yeah, they will not take out the 4 feet that's left in front of the doorways until they're within 48 hours of the final pour. So that's why they left that 4 feet intact. There's a couple sections on Main Street where we had line runs that it's down to just under 4 feet because of where the connections were, especially on the east side of the road. But they won't tear out that final section till machines are on site ready for that final pour.
That was the question I asked, because having no rear entrance, that's our only entrance to our building is the front. So.
No, yeah, we're aware of that. A good indication will be once the curb machine shows up and puts down the new curb lines on Main Street, because it's going to be a one-way southbound with both Liberty Lane East and West really popped out towards the center, and those sidewalks are about 15 feet. It will, when that occurs, that 4 feet of sidewalk that's there currently will remain. And then they'll bring in those mini excavators. I think we have 4 in town now that, kind of like the big ones. It's, if anyone's watched this work on Prairie Street, they work like an orchestra and going through there pretty quick.
Jim, sorry if I missed this. What's the anticipated completion date again?
First, I'd like to highlight, we will be out of downtown this construction season with the product replaced, barring anything unforeseen that we do not know about now. The project won't be completed until next spring because it has work at the Washington Street lift station down by on the south side of Clark Park, but downtown should be all back together.
Bolt, again, I just have one other thing to comment. Congratulate you on the crew that you guys selected for this. They've been the most cooperative and friendly workers that have come in, for construction workers working. And I just like to commend you guys for finding a good crew like that, because they've worked with us as well as making sure that they're doing things in a timely manner and very, very polite.
No, I really appreciate that, John. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to agenda item number 7-C, the update on the fire suppression grants.
Yes, and before I get into the fire suppression grants, I just want to make a couple comments of gratitude. One to Dominique Gladstone and Alex Lee. 51% Dominique Gladstone, because Alex certainly convinced him to give up what he had planned to ensure that this meeting would come off. It's our first post-COVID type situation governmental meeting in person. We made a commitment back in 2016 that we wanted to be a model government our size across the country. Part of that was our transparency, as well as for the past, since January, I think, of 2020, we have streamed our governmental meetings as well as archived the videos and wanted to continue that. So but we also made a conscious decision to hold our governmental meetings outdoors during the month of September as we watch what's going on in the world. So thank you very much for that, Dominic, and it's kind of a test run for next week's village council meeting. There will be a PA system here next week. We felt we would not add that component with a smaller crowd this week, but there will be a PA that projects out to an audience next week, so we certainly want to know that the citizens can come down or view it live through Facebook and YouTube or watch it archived. I hear we're pulling some good Nielsen ratings, so we'll keep moving forward there. On the fire suppression, I think it also shows, I think this whole meeting, I think what's happened here tonight shows where we've progressed over the last 5 years as a village government. This was the fire grants came up during our budget season, and we looked at how to help potentially 31 businesses in our downtown. This began in May and June when we knew we were going to dig up downtown and began that process. And then in July, one of our municipalities in mid-Michigan suffered a great loss with multiple buildings being impacted by a large fire in their downtown, which just kind of highlighted what we had going. So tonight, happy to report 13 of the 31 businesses will be have the ability to have fire suppression and take an opportunity of this grant. We have, as was approved both by the DDA and council, awarded grants in the amount of 60% to the businesses, which totals $39,450 that is going to be used. Of that, we had saved $27,450 for a situation like this. We received an additional $12,000 of funding from the Vicksburg Foundation, which left $4,450 of the 21-22 DDA revenue to cover the cost of the grants. I do have on there, we're looking at the money, also this project rolling out, Oswalt project. It is going to be staff's recommendation that we put a pause on the DDA facade grant program till we can reevaluate it in the third quarter and really reevaluate it, prepping it for the 22-23 fiscal year. I don't anticipate any money being used for other events. So and when I say kind of put it on pause and reevaluate, we can, I know there is a subcommittee that looks at that, and we can come up with different strategies that might even have larger grant awards and that type of thing. So, but be happy to, we said that we'd report back to the group when it was finalized, and that's what we're doing tonight, Chair Schenkel.
Mr. Mallory, I was just curious what your thoughts are. The council approved up to 60% of the expense, and it seems as if only, a small number, less than 50%, decided to, take advantage of this. I'm just curious why you think that there wasn't more participation, or you think that's a good number, 13 out of 31.
We were pleased with the number because this is the cost to take the fire suppression line within 3 feet of the business. The business owner had 100% of the cost for that final 3 feet and into their foundation, whatever that might be in their buildings. And that was anywhere between $4,000 and $10,000, that final, dependent upon what their foundation was made of. So I think that impacted business and building owners' final decision was the total overall cost. But we were very happy that 13 of the buildings will be covered.
Any other questions? All right, we will move on to agenda item number 8, and this is going to be the nominations for the officers of the Planning Commission and DDA. Jim, can you remind me how this process goes? I can't remember.
How it was held last year was took nominations and seconded for each position, secretary, chairperson, vice chairperson. One different component is still listed as a treasurer, and that person would work. Michelle Morgan's in our audience. She's a village treasurer and handles 99.9% of all the treasury work. So
We are electing a treasurer. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
This is Wertella. Do we need a motion to open the floor to nominations? And then when we get nominations, close the floor to nominations?
I'm getting the head nod from the village manager. So, did you say that was a motion to
that's
open the
how
floor?
you did it last year.
Is by motion to open the floor?
Correct, and then I think you started with treasurer and secretary, vice chair, and chairperson, or you might have went reverse. It might have started with chairperson.
Can we just keep it open, or do we have to do a new one for every position?
No, each position's filled for the fiscal year.
Okay. All right. Call for a motion to open the floor for voting for nominations for the officers.
This is Wertella. I would move that we open the floor to nominations for Planning Commission and DDA officers.
Motion by Wertella, support.
I'll support that, Mr. Chair.
Mucha supported. And is this a roll call?
You're always safe going roll call, but we've always ran the meeting that involving money go roll call, but you're safest to go roll call.
This last year roll call, I've gotten pretty comfortable with roll call this last year, so we'll go ahead and do roll call. Secretary DeBalt, please. Yeah, Musha.
Schenkel,
Yes.
Mucha,
Yes.
Cox,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Wortella,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes.
DeBolt, yes.
Okay, we will start with nominations for the treasurer.
Who's our current treasurer?
I would like to nominate Rick Holmes for our treasurer.
I'm on the wrong damn page, that's why.
This is Wortella. I would second that.
Do you accept, Rick?
What, do I have to? No. How does it, how does the process work? Do we vote on it, or do I have to acknowledge it? I'm sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, you can.
How
deny
they
it.
did it last year was, yeah, the person nominated would accept it, and then it was voted.
Only if I can continue to work with Michelle.
Sounds like an acceptance
Yes,
to me.
Yes, I accept.
Good. So, are we voting? Again, this is just like fuzzy to me, so I'm sorry.
Yes,
Okay.
you have to vote on it.
All right. So each individual one. So we're voting to approve Rick Holmes as the treasurer of the Planning Commission, DDA. And go ahead, Secretary DeBalt.
And that was nominated by Schenkel and seconded by Wortella? Is that
Correct.
Schenkel,
Yes.
Mucha,
Yes.
Cox,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Wortella,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes.
and DeBolt, yes.
All right. Next position is the secretary. And this position is responsible for keeping the minutes of the meeting. So keep your recommendations in mind with that.
This is Secretary DeBolt. I would like to accept that. No one's going to nominate me, but I would be glad to accommodate another year. So if someone would like to nominate me, I would be
This-
glad to accept that nomination.
I would like to nominate John DeBolt for Secretary of the Planning Commission.
I will second that. This is Member Newman.
I knew you would, Chris.
Holmes,
I was gonna nominate
support
you.
by
I
Newman.
know.
I'm sorry, Chris.
He can come, he'll be here next year.
When you're ready, Secretary DeVault.
Schenkel,
Yes.
Mucha,
Yes.
Cox,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Wortella,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes.
DeBolt, yes.
Thank you again, Secretary DeVault. Appreciate your service. All right, next position is the vice chair. I'll open it up for nominations.
I would like to nominate Member Mucha as vice chair.
I'll support that motion.
If the rest of the commission feels it is in their interest to continue my role as vice chair, I will gladly accept. If they feel that it is pertinent for elsewhere, I will gladly decline. So I leave it up to the commission.
Any further nominations? Hearing none, we'll ask for a roll call vote from Secretary DeVault.
Schenkel,
Yes.
Mucha,
I will abstain on this vote.
Cox,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Wortella,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes.
DeBolt, yes.
Lastly, the chair position. Open for nominations.
This is Wortella. I would nominate Matt Schenkel as chair of the Village of Vicksburg Planning Commission and DDA Authority.
Member Mucha will second that.
We have a nomination for Matt Schenkel for chair. Any further nominations for chair? Same as Member Mucha, I am glad to accept this nomination, and if not, happy to decline it as well. We will proceed to a roll call vote. Secretary DeBault.
Schenkel?
Yes, or I'll abstain, actually.
Mucha?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Newman?
No.
Wortella?
Yes.
Holmes?
Yes.
DeVault, yes.
All right. We have our officers for the next year. Thank you, everyone.
Chairperson Schenkel, if I can, I'll let the members of this board know that next Monday night with the village council, we'll be announcing an open position to fill Mr. Bill Hunt's seat, who after a long distinguished service has retired. I will let the board know that Mr. Hunt will be recognized and honored next week in front of the village council. If you could attend or watch, you're certainly more than happy to be invited, but we'd like you to know about that. Though that opening will be announced on September 20th council meeting, October 3rd's council meeting, and October 17th council meeting. And then people who've put in an application to sit on the board, that will go to Village President Frisbee, who would, if he chooses to work with the Human Resource Committee, but it would be at the appointment of the president and supported by the council.
Thank you, Village Manager. And we do need to close the nominations. I'll call for a motion on that.
Before we do close the nominations on the DDA officers, myself, Don Wortella, and Bill Cox were liaisons, I would say, for the DDA for this board. I can't speak for the other two, but I guess Mr. Mallory, could you direct us on that?
Yeah, that subcommittee's directed and appointed if it continues by the chairperson of the board. So that's an appointment by the chairperson, and members within it are appointed by the chairperson.
Are we appointing those annually, Jim, or is that kind of an ongoing post?
Last year was the first year, but it was the real first year since we merged our planning commission to have overall responsibilities of the Downtown Development Authority as well. So, yeah. I can, for staff, it helps.
So, sorry, what was that?
It was ready, set, go. No, it helps to have that subcommittee for staff to communicate or to reach out to businesses and solicit opinions on specific to the downtown.
Okay, so we'll call for a motion to close the open session.
Chair Schenkel, I so move to close the nomination session of the September 2021 Planning Commission.
Thank you, Member Mucha. And do we have support?
Holmes support?
Support by Holmes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Second to last item here, we have member comments. So go ahead and chime in with any member comments for this meeting.
Mr. DeBall, these do not need to make it to the minutes, jokingly, but in May, I have, for the rest of the commission benefit, I believe Mr. Mallory knows, I did recently pass the American Institute of Certified Planners exam. So like Chair Durkee, I am now a certified planner. So I just wanted to share that with the board, and if there's any way that I can assist further this village, I'm happy to do so. But since we haven't met in person, I wanted to share that with all of you in person instead of on a Zoom call. So.
Congratulations.
All right. Echoing the sentiments, thank you to the team for setting us up tonight, getting us streaming. No hiccups that we're aware of, so hopefully this was a good test run for you.
We'll read about it on social media, I'm sure.
All All right, the time is 7:47. I will call the September Planning Commission meeting adjournment. Thank you, everyone.